Hi everyone, my name is Lissi Pallaco and welcome to the presentation of our paper, Performance Analysis of Deep Anomaly Detection Algorithms for Commercial Microwave Link Attenuation. This work has been carried out at Ericsson in Stockholm, Sweden, in collaboration with the Royal Institute of Technology, also in Stockholm, Sweden. So the outline of the presentation is some background. Then I'll go through the problem statement and I will explain the proposed framework. Then I'll show some simulation results and finally I'll draw the conclusion. So our work is related to weather classification, which is very crucial because many applications rely on accurate information about the weather. Examples include early warning systems, but also the Internet of Things supported agriculture can use information about the weather to adjust irrigation systems, for instance. And traffic management systems such as Google Maps can surely use information about the weather to adjust the speed and reroute the traffic in case of inclement weather, for instance. So weather classification is very important. And traditionally, rainfall detection solutions relies on weather radars and rain gauges. However, these technologies are costly because they require equipment installation, and also they come with a low spatial resolution, around 1 square kilometer. So that's why there is a new approach, which seems very promising, which is related to commercial microwave links, CML. And the idea is to use the attenuation data collected by CMLs as input to weather classification algorithms. And by using CMLs, we have two benefits. First, we have no extra equipment installation costs because CMLs are already installed. And also, with CML attenuation data, we can have a much finer spatial resolution. However, empirical evidence shows that CML data can be affected by anomalies. Therefore, it is crucial that the CML data is validated before giving it as input to the weather classification algorithm. In fact, if the data that we give as input to the classification algorithm contains an anomaly, well then the output of the classification algorithm cannot be trusted. So that's why we propose a data preprocessing framework which performs anomaly detection and data quality flagging before classification. So for instance, the image that you see below could be the output of our data preprocessing framework. We flag as green the data which is normal, and we flag as black the data that contains anomalies. And this information is very valuable to the classifier because, as I said before, if the data given as input is anomalous, well then the output of the classifier cannot be trusted. So let's go through the main idea behind the proposed framework. So we collect the attenuation data in time window t. Then we use this data to predict the normal behavior of the CML data in the next time window that I here indicate as time window t plus 1. Then we observe the actual CML data in time window t plus 1, and we perform a comparison between the prediction, which is anomaly-free, and the actual observed data. The output of the comparison is a metric, which I call anomaly score, and we'll see how to compute this metric in the next slides. But for now, keep in mind that we use this anomaly score to flag if time window t plus 1 is anomalous or not, namely, if the CML data that we have just collected in time window t plus 1 are anomalous or not. And in this framework, we perform the prediction by means of deep learning algorithms. So the intuition behind this idea is that if the observation matches the prediction, which is anomaly-free, then the observation doesn't contain any anomalies. Conversely, if the observation doesn't match the prediction, well then, the observation does contain anomalies. So, as I mentioned before, we use a deep learning model to perform the prediction. In particular, we consider two different deep learning models. One is based on a convolutional neural network, CNN, and the other is based on a long short-term memory, LSTM. So the data that we give as input to these two learning models is the CML attenuation data that we collect in time window t. And we use these deep learning models to perform the prediction of the CML data in time window t+1. So now let's look at the plot on the right-hand side for a more concrete example. So in black, we have the past observations, namely the input to the learning models. In red, we have the prediction given by the learning models that we indicate as x hat. And in blue, we have the observation, which is simply indicated by x. So now we have the prediction and we have the actual observation. We need to compute an error, namely we need to compare them somehow. And the metric that we used is very simple. So we compare them by computing the squared error, which is indicated as E. So we use these squared errors, which are computed for each observation in a time window, to compute the anomaly score for a given time window. And that's the metric that we use to determine if the data in the time window is anomalous or not. And you see, by looking at the formula on the slide, how we aggregate all these errors. It's very simple. We just compute a mean. And in the formula, capital N stands for the number of observations in a given time window. So now we know how to compute the anomaly score. Let's see how we use it. So we need to compare the anomaly score for time window t with a threshold. So for the time being, let's assume that we have this threshold. We will see in the following slide how to compute it. So we compare the anomaly score with these thresholds. If the anomaly score exceeds the threshold, then we flag time window t as anomalous. Conversely, if the anomaly score does not exceed the threshold, we flag time window t as normal. In fact, keep in mind that the final goal of our framework is to perform data quality flagging, namely to flag the time windows that contain anomalous data as anomalous and time windows that contain normal data as normal. So for instance, the picture on the right-hand side could be the output of our framework. We flag as green the normal time windows, or hours as in this example, and as black the anomalous time windows. So in our framework, we use a threshold. In our case, it is an adaptive threshold. So in this slide, I will mention the key points behind our estimation approach. So a key observation here is that the prediction error from a deep learning model, such as the LSTM, follows a Gaussian distribution. So we use an empirical approach Bayesian false discovery rate to estimate the threshold for a given false discovery rate parameter. Now, I will not go into the details, so I encourage those of you who are interested to refer to our paper. So due to time constraints, I will just mention that the online system can easily update the threshold by updating the mean and the standard deviation parameters used in the Z-score test statistics. So let's now go through the simulation setup. We worked with real data collected from 5 CMLs at Ericsson over a period of 10 months. And we considered time windows of 1 hour. We built the ground truth by gathering information from the Swedish Meteorological and Hydrological Institute, SMHI. The SMHI provides measurements of rain or melted snow in millimeters per hour, and we use these measurements to determine if the classifier makes a mistake when classifying the weather over a time window. And we assume that if the classifier makes a mistake, it is because the data that we gave in input to the classifier were anomalous. So that's how we build our ground truth, and we use this ground truth to determine if our data preprocessing framework, which flags the data as anomalous or normal over the various time windows, is successful or not. So we used a CNN to predict the normal data behavior. Here on the slide, you can see the architecture of the CNN. And the 10 months of data that we had, we split in this way. We used 8 months for the training set and 2 months for the test set. Also, we split the training data as 80% for actual training and 20% for validation. We used the ADEM optimizer with a learning rate of 0.001. So we also used an LSTM to predict the normal data behavior. Here on the slide, you can see the architecture, and we used the same dataset and the same optimizer as for the CNN. So let's look at some simulation results. Here on the slide, we can see the receiver operating characteristic curve for one of the 5 links that we considered, and with the LSTM used as a prediction tool. This is just a preview. In the next slide, I will show the results obtained for all the 5 links, both with the LSTM and the CNN. So on the red curve, we have on the y-axis the true positive rate. And by this, I mean that we detect an anomaly in data that cause a misclassification. On the x-axis, we have the false positive rate. And by this, I mean that we detect an anomaly on data that do not cause a misclassification. So in blue, we have our rock curve with an area under the curve here indicated as AUC of 0.832, which is quite a good result, considering that in the best case scenario, the area under the curve is equal to 1. So these are the area under the curves for all the 5 links, both in case of CNN and in case of LSTM. So you can see that the area under the curve values differ from link to link, which indicates that the location of the links plays a key role in the appearance of anomalies. And also, high area under the curve values show that there is a correlation between misclassifications and detected anomalies. So now let's look at an example of how our framework works. In the bottom left of the slide, you can see 2 figures. In the lower figure, you see that the time slots that are not green indicate misclassifications. In the upper figure, you see in black the time slots that our framework flagged as containing anomalies. And you can see that there is a correspondence between the time windows that we flag as anomalous and the time windows that cause a misclassification. So let's conclude. We proposed a data preprocessing framework for anomaly detection and data quality flagging. And we studied the feasibility of this proposed framework on real data from Ericsson. So that's all. Thank you for your attention.